This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hi everybody, welcome to show 194 Aussie Mac Zone this week. We've got Garth again, so thanks mate. How are you?
Bloody awesome, Michael. How are you?
Excellent, mate. Excellent with that public holiday. It was very good for some of us.
Oh, lucky for you. Lucky for you.
Yeah, we got Karen controlling us tonight, but she didn't have the day off. She had to work.
Ah, never mind, Karen. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, so we've got remember that we are brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au with affordable competitive plans. Domain registration, free setup, auto setup, instant activation, PayPal, as well as other cards, 250 scripts with one click, including WordPress and Joomla, the industry standard cPanel, feature-rich control panel, all from $5.95 per month when paid annually. So, firstly, we've got an unusual one here where Chinese authorities bust private data stealing syndicate detaining 20 Apple employees. So news.com.au reports we are required to trust a lot of companies with our personal data these days, and a case in China highlights how sometimes it's people who we don't ordinarily expect who breach the trust. Privacy concerns over personal data usually centre on companies taking unlawful liberties with our data or hackers pilfering those details for nefarious ends. But authorities in China have uncovered a much more mundane kind of abuse. Police detained a number of Apple employees for running an underground operation in which it's alleged they stole people's personal data from Apple's internal systems and sold it to criminals on the black market. So of the 22 suspects detained by police in the sting, 20 were Apple employees who allegedly used the company's internal computer system to gather users' names, phone numbers, IDs and other data, which they sold as part of a scam that got them about $9.7 million Australian. The information of iPhone customers is highly prized in China's black market due to the belief that Apple customers are more likely to be wealthy. So yeah, the suspects who worked in direct marketing and outsourcing for Apple in China allegedly charged between $1.95 and $35 for pieces of illegally extracted data. And now, one last thing is, this was reported late last week as staff from Apple retailers had sold the data, and I haven't been able to confirm who the actual baddies are, but if you start getting lots of spam or unusual phone calls, please be aware.
Hopefully you haven't had your phone into a repair to be repaired in China. So.
That's right.
But I guess if they've got access to systems, they could probably, I don't know, can you pull up details for customers outside of Australia, for example, from your systems, Michael?
I can't pull up customers' data. I can tell you when a machine was repaired, and I can't necessarily even tell you who the repairer was.
There you go. Yeah, so this is if from what we're hearing, it is like you're saying, it's pretty internal.
Yeah.
Internal as in they're people who are employed by Apple.
Yeah, or it had something to do with
Apple China.
Just find it again. There was a comment about whether they were actually Apple employees or outsourced Apple employees, shall I say, contractors. Yeah.
End of the day, at a company the size of Apple, you're going to have some people who
aren't perfect. Yes,
aren't perfect. Yeah. So, good news is this lot have been caught.
Yes. Yeah. Well, in Apple Australia, when you apply for a job, you do a police check. So just be advised of that.
I mean, just in case you're intending to go in, get a job and make $9.3 million by selling illegal information, then be aware there may be a police check involved.
Yeah. Now, A question: should I update? Now, Forbes
Definitely.
advises Apple's iOS 10.3.2 security page lists 23 categories of exploit and breakdowns. But what stands out are how many WebKit-related flaws have been discovered. Two of the most serious, however, were found in iBooks. On the Wire reports one of the vulnerabilities could allow a malicious book file to open any website without permission, while the other could let an application execute arbitrary code with root privileges. So you don't even have to put your username and password in for that to happen. So basically it's saying, just there's so many security problems at the moment. Keep updating it. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean that sounds like a couple of really bad ones. So definitely get it updated.
Yeah.
Because as we know, once the fixes are out there, that you're that closer to the baddies, reverse engineering, even if they don't know the current problem and finding it. So.
Yes. Yeah, or they hear about there's an exploit there, we'll just keep going, and there's bound to be people who don't update. So.
Absolutely.
Now, what about who can't update to iOS 11 that's coming in the future? And that will be users of iPhone 5, iPhone 5C, and iPod 4th generation. These use 32-bit processors. You also need to confirm the apps you need have been updated, as no 32-bit apps will be allowed to run. And please contact the Apple developer to fix this. Maybe they've forgotten how many users they have still using their cheap/free app.
So, obviously, and for those users out there, you haven't updated to iOS 11 yet because you haven't got a developer account, for one thing. But even under 10, you can go in and check under General About and Applications and just see what apps you are running that are 32-bit and get stuck into them now. Because, come iOS 11, if you want to update to iOS 11, you're not using any of those apps.
Yes,
so
some of the ones on my phone aren't even in the App Store anymore, or there aren't any updates. So tell me, how's the first week with iOS 11 been, my friend?
Okay, first week of iOS 11. I am loving some of the new features. Now, I still have not been able to use the new control panel. So I can't use control panel at all at the moment. This is just some of the normal things you may expect if you get a very early beta. So there's nothing unusual about that. It's just sort of only mentioning it really as a reminder to people that, hey, if you're gonna play with the very new betas, expect to have things that are broken. That's the point. So yeah, I can't even play with the new control panel. I have to reboot my phone if I try and bring up control panel. So that aside, some of the little things that I've found that have been really, really nice to have. AirPods. Yeah. So now, instead of just having it, you can either, at the moment, under iOS 10, you can double tap, and that can either activate Siri or activate Play Pause. Under 11, you can, in the current beta, and we should make that disclaimer as well, this is what's currently there now. Who knows what will ship by the time we get around to September.
Yeah.
So you can set it per AirPod. So you can set it so that your left one is Play Pause, the right one is Siri. And the other two options you can choose are next and previous as well. So, for example, you could have, your left as back one and your right as next, or, your left as back and your right as Play Pause, whatever. So you've got these 4 or 5 choices. Siri, Play Pause, next, previous, or off. They're your 5 choices. And you can assign any of those to either AirPod, which is quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
In Safari, so we heard a bit in the keynote about the ad blocking, tracking, I should say, really, prevent tracking across websites. One thing I hadn't heard was being able to set reader. So you've got your little reader button, reader view.
Yeah.
there's an option there that you can tell it to automatically load all websites in reader view if available.
Oh, that's good.
Or at a per domain level.
Yeah.
So I set mine to all, and then maybe if you go to a domain and think, we'll let this domain, load fully, then you can go in and turn that domain off and let that one through. So all your other ones will stay as reader by default, and that one won't. So what else can I tell you? There's some of the little things. The File app, at the moment we haven't got any of the other third party, Dropbox and those sort of guys in there that I can tell. But it looks like it will be useful. I was glad to see that it came to the iPhone as well as as well as the iPad. That was a bit of a concern at first, but no, it's there, which is good. I don't know. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. That there's a couple of other things in Safari that I'd come across, and I just can't think what they were now.
And is it good not having any automatically playing any of those?
Well, I never went to any websites that would be a problem with anyhow, really. But I think on the Mac that will be more of a benefit, I think.
But so many sites now chuck up audio things straight away. It's just terrible.
I just don't go to them, so I don't run into it.
Yeah.
But like I said, on the Mac, you're probably more likely to, for me anyway, I'm more likely to run into that sort of stuff there.
All right. Cool.
The little things like when you initiate dictation, instead of having the keyboard with a little button there, you have that at first, but once you're finished, you then have return to keyboard or continue, or the keyboard gets replaced by a done keyboard and talk button.
Okay.
So three bigger ones. The Messages app looks nice. The way you can, get to the keyboard, different
the little bits down
apps.
The bottom, yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Even just the home screen. So on my home screen, it usually gives you the most recent notification only.
Yeah.
As well as a button to bring up all other notifications, and one to access further play, pause, and all that sort of stuff. So it sort of simplifies that initial view as it stands for me at the moment. Rather than having a whole list of notifications there, you just get a couple of options to go into. All notifications or your most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
What else can I think? I don't know. Yeah. That's kind of cool though.
Yeah, excellent. So again, it's just building on the background, isn't it? It's just
Look, little things like that reader view that I hadn't heard mention of, but there it was.
Yeah,
is really nice because it's just a simple thing that makes your experience better. And so much of what we love about Apple is about that sort of stuff. Little things that make your experience just that little bit better than they were before.
Yeah. And so you're never really going to get that with Google Chrome, are you? Because they want you to see the ads, don't they?
Well, they do, yeah. But I don't know. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Not like that anyway.
Okay. So don't forget, we do have our friends at Aussie Tech Radio at aussietechradio.com, or your Aussie Tech Security Podcast, or your Aussie Tech Heads Podcast, that Australian award-winning best tech podcast. And don't forget, we are on Apple News. And what else have we got? We've got now some more stories.
Michael, you just reminded me before you go on with some more stories of one other little thing on iOS 11 that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, excellent.
And it's something that's been further developed further brought out with one of the WWDC keynote, lectures or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
And that's the new additions to podcasting, given that we're on a podcast here.
Yes, yeah.
So along with the App Store being updated, and that looks fine. I'm not a big fan one way or the other of the App Store. I don't, that's fine the way that the changes they've made, but some people obviously will love it. But they've also updated the podcast app, and one thing that I really did like was a nice little onboarding experience. So when you open the podcast app, so for people who probably get a phone down, and the podcast app is there by default and probably don't know much about it or podcasts in general.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, a lot of people don't. There's a nice little onboarding experience of, explaining in just one little page what a podcast is, the fact that it's free, that you can listen to it immediately or you can download it for later, and all this sort of stuff. All explained really neatly and nicely when you first open the app. And then also when you're in the app, they've redesigned that as well, of course, to make it probably a little bit more like the music app, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit nicer. And Apple have mentioned, as I said earlier, Apple have mentioned in an address during WWDC that they've changed the spec for podcasts slightly, and they've added a few custom tags that weren't there before. So that shows that release in series, like, if you've got a show that you maybe have a series, like a season, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But a series where you're better off listening to this lot in order. So, obviously, like with things like Aussie Mac Zone, you're just going to hear the most recent first. And when you go into iTunes, that's what you're going to be presented with, the most recent episode.
Yeah.
But if you've got a show where you're having seasons and, for season 3, start from season 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, listen to them in order, you're going to be able to put tags into your podcast feed to allow that to, be presented in a more logical order. So just a few little changes for podcasts in general that will be coming under iOS 11 as well.
Excellent. And talking about podcasts and advising people tell your friends, advise your friends what podcasts are. You don't have to say you have to listen to Aussie Mac Zone. That would be nice, but tell them about Moth or Storyteller or cooking or just whatever their minute interest might be. There's people out there talking about it.
Exactly. That's the fantastic thing, isn't it? It doesn't just about whatever you might be interested in, someone somewhere will be producing content for it.
That's right.
And that's Yep.
Oh,
I can't remember the numbers, but in the address on podcast, they mentioned the numbers of people who had downloaded things through iTunes, podcasts, and that's not the entire market. It's obviously a large part of it, but it's not the whole market. And it was in something like 10 million episodes this year, something like that. I can't remember.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And another little thing that will be coming to podcasts for people, for the producers like you and myself, in iTunes Connect, we'll be able to see analytics of people downloading, where they're downloading, how much of the episode did they listen to, did they skip past the ad read and things like that. So that's all going to be available to producers as well.
And the challenge is, but I believe that'll only be for iTunes, which I know is not everybody. Correct. But
it's about 70% of all downloads come through Apple's. Yeah. At least I think it's 70 to 80% are through either iTunes or podcasts on iOS.
Yep. Another thing about podcasting was I was listening to iOS Today on Twit today, catching up, and about 6 or 7 episodes ago of iOS Today, they had one on Australian apps that have been released.
Yes, I remember hearing that one,
Yeah, and it was quite interesting, and seeing, a lot of people may know Fruit Ninja. That's a pretty popular app. That's written by an Australian group of people, and they had lots and lots. There was one about not dying stupidly, which apparently was written by the Melbourne Transit Authority.
Yes, Dumb Ways to Die.
Yeah, Dumb Ways to Die. That's right. Yeah, based on a
my
song.
kids were loving that. I didn't realize it was. I didn't realize it was an app.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the history of that until I heard that episode. In fact, but yeah, I remember my kids walking around singing "Dumb Ways to Die" for quite a while. Not sure if they mentioned it in that episode, but Pocket Cast. Speaking of bringing it back to podcasts again.
Yep.
Pocket Cast is I think that's an Australian developer, and there's obviously even Android version.
Yeah.
Even made an Android version of it, but
Yeah, and they also at that particular episode, they had an audience which was looked to be about 25 people, which were Australian students and a couple of teachers, which were science, STEM students, science, technology, engineering, and maths, from a high school. I think they were in Victoria, so. So that was just way to go. So good promo for Australians.
Absolutely.
So something else that's came out was Apple partners with Salesforce Nuance to deliver iMessage Business Chat in iOS 11. So thanks to Apple Insider, on the last day of WWDC, Apple detailed Business Chat, its new enterprise customer support platform iOS 11. Leveraging iMessage apps introduced in iOS 10, as well as integration with Maps, Safari and Spotlight, in partnership with existing customer service platforms from Genesis, LivePerson, Nuance and Salesforce. Similar to placing a phone call, the new business chat icons or QR codes open a new conversation type in iMessage. A specific chat button or QR code includes a URL payload that can associate the user with geographic location, such as a local retail store presented in Maps, a specific product configuration they are looking at or have purchased, and their language, or a specific team ID such as order tracking that identifies what they need help with. So then Business Chat connects the incoming iMessage request to the appropriate response team at a company via a chat service provider, and the first chat agent can then pull up previous conversations with that customer, access the details of the product they want help with or their associated orders or other shipments. The customer service agent can also do anything iMessage can do, including sending photos or other attachments, as well as receive photos and other attachments from the customer to troubleshoot problems. Companies will be able to send the customer links to download their apps. So, and unlike automated AI chat support systems that only last summer were predicted to wipe out apps and Apple along with it, Apple's approach to customer service with Business Chat focuses on personal, customerized interaction with a real person. So Apple's Business Chat isn't just a theoretical solution to a problem. The company has gained experience in using Twitter and other social networks to interact with its own customers. And in November, Apple was even awarded a Gold Hash Customer Award from Twitter for its use of the public and direct messaging platform to provide customer assistance. Now also, I've got a link there for the whole story. For instance, if I need to talk to Apple support people at a technical level, it's not done through iMessage, but it is done through a chat system. So you just go in there, you can upload photos, they can email me information, all that sort of stuff. So that's all done with chat instead of live phone calls and things these days. And the only thing,
this is really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
And the only thing I don't like about it is some companies put a lot of pressure on the chat people to deal with, say, 3 or 4 people at a time. So they'll send you a question and then they'll go on to the next person, and it might take them a little bit to get back to you, and you think, oh, are they still there? They're not still there, or so yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, companies are always looking for ways of interacting with their customers in a way that meets the customer's needs and provides an experience to the customer that they enjoy.
Yeah.
So I think this is fantastic. be interesting to see which, who does leverage this platform.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
will the government get involved? And it's harder for very small companies to leverage the platform.
Well, I don't know. Very small companies, maybe not, but even from fairly moderately sized companies would be using Salesforce, for example. And I think reading the story, Salesforce was the main,
Yeah,
company, but there were other ones that they were integrating as well. I don't think it was just Salesforce. So, yeah, government, I don't, they're not going to use Salesforce as a solution. That they'll, typically, I wouldn't have thought. So yeah, I'm not sure about government as such but yeah.
Now we've got an anatomy of an app store scam.
Yeah,
there's a great piece by Johnny Lynn about a scam in iOS apps. So, including an amazing VPN app that's full of misspelled words and outrageous free trials that actually lead to exorbitant charges. So in the one that he started to study, buried on the third line in a paragraph of text in small font, iOS casually tells me that laying my finger on the home button means I agree to start a $100 subscription. And not only that, but it's $100 per week. So I was only one Touch ID away from a $400 a month subscription to reroute all my traffic to a scammer. So the App Store is huge, and there are always going to be people trying to rip off users. It's up to Apple to police the store and root this stuff out before customers are built. And I looked that word up, and it does mean conned.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what's
I will have
the
a
word?
link. Built. Yeah, like milked. BILKED. Yeah.
Okay, built. All right, interesting.
I looked it up to make sure it wasn't a typo. Yeah, so I've got a link there. Goes into it a little bit more, but yeah, just be aware. Be very careful what you're doing.
Absolutely. And on a related one, I've had an experience not to that extreme, but there's a subscription that my son under family, we've got the family sharing thing on.
Yep.
He'll do these 3-month trial type things at times and go and cancel them. This one, which I have set myself a reminder because I read the email properly when it came in. It's $16, $17 a month. That's not too bad for whatever the service was, but it's a 3-month trial. Yep. But if you don't cancel within 1 week, you have agreed to the 3-month. You've agreed to go for a month, so you have to cancel within 7 days. Otherwise, at the end of your month, you pay.
You'll pay for that first month whether you like it. The second month whether you like it or not. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
and you've probably got 1 week to cancel in, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Can't remember exactly how it was worded, but the upshot was if you don't cancel within 7 days, you've agreed to the subscription.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a free month. That bit's in big writing. Yeah. So you gotta be careful. Read the whole lot.
Yeah, and at $16 a month, they get 10,000 people that miss that line of the.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money.
Even if it's only one lot of $16, and then they go, huh? What?
That's right.
Yeah.
So now, Garth, what about your first week with Watch OS 4?
Watch OS 4. Well, firstly, we haven't got Woody and those guys in there yet.
No.
So they're yet to come. The Siri watch face. So there's probably three things I'll say.
Yeah.
Siri watch face. I'm still on the fence about that one.
Yeah.
I haven't found it fantastic. I kind of prefer having, 5 or 6 bits of information that I know what they're going to be right there, ready to go.
Yeah.
Rather than what Siri will offer.
Mm-hmm.
It when you set the Siri face, you can go in and customize. Okay, just show me there's about 7 or 8 different options, including photos, memories, things like that, as well as news and, your weather and calendar and alarms and various things like that. So there's a few options. You can customize a little bit. You can basically restrict the kinds of things that Siri will show you. So that one I think could be really useful, and a lot of people will love that one, I think. For me personally, I haven't really got to love it yet. The other real main UI change, I guess, is the change to the dock. So at the moment, you can obviously swipe left and right through various favorited apps that you'll put in your dock, or now playing or whatever. Under watchOS 4, you can either choose between your favorites, and it scrolls horizontally instead of vertically as well, or you can just have it as a most recent used. So it'll just give you a list of the most recent used apps, and that's just a toggle. You can swap between those two views. So once again, I'm leaving it on the new option, the most recent used, and just we'll see how that goes over time. It's a nice little, it's what am I trying to say? It's sort of, there's no cost, there's no loss. If you want to keep it the old way, you can. You just, you have it's more choice. That's all it is. It's more choice. And obviously your most recent used, it could be the way that a lot of people would prefer to have it. A lot of the stuff I have not tried yet in terms of the new workout stuff. I haven't tried any of the new workout stuff.
You lazy
And I think
bum.
that was I know, right? That was the other major change in watchOS 4, I suppose. Other than the change to the dock, the new faces, the other main thing was this all the updates to workout.
Mm-hmm.
The news app, I only launched that one time, and it just said you've got no stories. So I'm not sure what was going on there. Maybe I just need to give it more time to cache, or hadn't opened the news app on my phone for too long or something.
Yeah.
So we'll go and revisit that one, given another week or two.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll hassle you in a couple of weeks and see how your stories are going.
Absolutely. Yes. We'll see if there's any. Well, you'll have to put a few in there, and I'll see if they come up for me, Michael.
Yeah.
Because I've got AMZ favorited.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I'll have to get my
see
act together, won't I? Now, also, one other thing that I heard about, which I didn't hear about in the talk, but is apparently you can use your watch as a torch now. One of the settings
Yep,
is...
that was...
Yeah.
So in the control panel,
Mm-hmm.
there's a little... You can set it to either just on constant, so it's a torch, or there's a flashing mode as well. So it just flashes every now and then, and you would use that if you're running.
Yeah.
Running at night or whatever. So it'd be a little flash as a warning signal.
That's good. That's
to
cool.
highlight where you are.
Yeah.
And with me walking home at night, quite often it's probably, crossing roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's probably not a bad idea to have that on, in fact.
Yeah. I agree. So we've got now a couple of how-tos. Adding a second Safari page in split view on the iPad. So you've got to do this in the landscape view.
Mm-hmm.
So you press and hold the page icon up the top right-hand side, those two pages, one on top of the other. And then it'll give you the choice, open in split view. And that'll give you two separate web pages. So you can be comparing notes between, say, two sites on one story, for example, or whatever, all those reasons why you want two web pages open at the same time. Two football matches that you're trying to keep track of. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, and that's one thing about iOS 11 that I haven't been able to use, and that's all the new iPad features. There's amazing changes there, isn't there?
Yeah, I can't wait. Seriously can't wait to try the public release at the end of the month.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a little tip for you without notice.
Yeah.
One that I came across the other week before I had iOS 11 on there, so I know it's No, it was a beta still, but I'm pretty sure it's there. I just had never found it before. So I don't know if you've had this experience when you're wanting to video something, and you're at a concert or at a sporting event or whatever, and you want to get your phone ready to go. So as soon as it's ready to, as soon as you're ready to take the video, everything's ready to go. Boom, boom, boom. You can get it done. Capture what you want to capture. So you get it. You set it on video. You wait and you wait, and your phone locks, and you come back to it. You're ready to take the video, and it's back on photo mode.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you go into settings, into photos, and you can change that so that it remembers the last option that you had it on.
Okay.
Whether it be square or slow-mo or video or whatever. Instead of resetting back to defaulting on photo all the time, it'll stay on whatever setting you left it. And you have the same option for HDR, I think it was.
Yeah.
So there's an option there where you can lock it to remaining on HDR, remaining on whatever setting you leave the HDR setting on, rather than, well, I think that is the default setting, that it stays however you leave it. But you can set it so that it doesn't stay however you leave it. It will revert to off.
Yeah.
And you have to enable it every time. So for the way we use our phones, I thought that was a fantastic little find in there.
Yeah. Yeah, you get all ready, you get all psyched up, and then bang, it doesn't work.
Oh, damn, I took a photo rather than a video again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This week's email. So, one Mac user of several has really bad speed issue when connected to a Windows server via SMB. So, if you're trying to connect to a Windows server, you type in SMB : / whatever the name of the server is, or the IP address, etc. And connecting to the internet is fine. Help! So it ended up this user was the only one connected by Wi-Fi, and I don't understand why this changes things, and I have no relationship with the network set up, so I can't go in and actually look at the settings inside the Wi-Fi, etc. But the answer was very simple. Instead of using SMB, you use CIFS : / and this forces the connection to be SMB version 1. And this is relative in that Apple appears to ask for a lot of information about the files when it connects to an SMB version 2 server. But not all file servers, Windows or Linux, give out this data, so the Mac goes into a loop asking for the informations. Sometimes this will show itself as very slow when connected to a server or a shared folder that has other folders within, but works fine when connected to a shared folder that only has files. And it's just the way it's asked these questions. So, but yeah, just CIFS : / instead of SMB. So that user it just fixed the problem for her straight away.
Okay.
So that was great.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Michael, but I'm sure that's all fantastic.
Well, if you connect to machines,
yeah.
And yeah, that's just one of those things.
Very good.
Yeah. So don't forget to thank the sponsors, which is athwebhosting.com.au, and all the fellas at ATH, Glenn, etc. So don't forget them. And thank you to Garth for coming along, and thank you to Karen for helping him again, my darling, beautiful wife. I love you very much.
Need more of that. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Karen, and thank you, listeners, for getting this far through. Well done.
Yeah, another great week.